Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Keeping It Real with ER Sports. This is Michelangelo alongside my co-host.
Boom, I'm here.
Yes, sir. Today we'll be touching on NCAA football, Big 10, Pac-12, a little bit of Floyd, Mayweather, and some NBA, a little playoff action. Let's get it started with Boone. Let's do it, boy.
Man, how's your week been going?
Well, a little up and down with these Lakers being inconsistent. So it had me a little upset with their previous game, but
We'll get to that a little bit later, but right now, college football is back upon us. You know, you're more of an NFL guy. Excuse me.
yes, sir.
I'm an NCAA football guy. Of course, SEC superior to every other conference, but today we got
Whoa,
back
whoa,
to
whoa, whoa. Okay,
but
I see where you're at.
today we got back to Pac-12. They announced they will play a 7-game season beginning Friday, November 6th, with the Pac-12 championship game scheduled for Friday, December 18th. They will not allow any fans this season. Maybe after January, they'll
Wow.
consider fans if there's bowl or playoffs or any other games. They might consider it. This
Hmm.
is huge, as you know that we have the SEC, the ACC, Big 10, and Big 12, and so now this concludes the Power Five. Uh,
Okay.
I think it's going to be difficult putting together playoffs and a championship without having all the big conferences in play, because there was some talks about if there was a threshold, if it wasn't a certain amount of teams, then they would not have a national champion this year. It just was going to be a lot of what ifs and well, this conference wasn't playing, that conference wasn't playing. You know, I do wonder. There's been a lot of games postponed already. Notre Dame has had games postponed. Virginia Tech, University of Houston, I believe, have had 3 weekends they've had games postponed.
In a row.
So correct. So with these games being postponed, how is that going to affect the conference race toward the end? Right now, everybody's saying, well, we can reschedule, we can make it up, but it's going to come a point in a time where there are no more days to make it up. There are no more weekends left. So then what? If you have a team that has missed 2 games, how are you going to work that into the conference championship standings? It's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out. As you know, the SEC opens up this weekend. It's going to be very interesting. Of course, Alabama's expected to be very strong. LSU, the defending national champions, who just steamrolled everybody last year, however, have lost one of their main receivers as far as Jefferson. He's opting out. They've also lost the quarterback who also went to the NFL in the first round, #1 overall pick, in Burrow, and
Yes, sir.
many other guys who've either opted out or left for the NFL. So it's going to be very interesting to see what type of talent they can put on the field this year.
Yes, sir. As speaking of people opting out, today I heard Ronald Moore from Purdue, wide receiver, all-star wide receiver, is opting back in. I was glad to
Wow.
hear that.
And I
Superstar.
wonder, I wonder what's the rules on that. Wait, opting out and opting back in and opting out. I guess they're gonna let them go on a case by case basis because at the end of the day, you know, this is not like, hey, a kid just wants to leave school for another reason. It's all medical and health related at this point.
Okay, okay. Well, how do you think Alabama's going to do this year? Speaking
I'm,
of, it's only going to be obviously limited games, but do you think they'll be able to put out all that talent in those six or 7 games?
I really do. Of course, they've lost Tua to Glover, their top receiver. Mack is gonna be there. He really showed that he can really play. Last year when he had to come in and fill in for Tua toward the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see exactly how they really start off the season. Mac Jones is a solid quarterback, has a lot of size on him. He had some very quality experience last year. So I think we're really going to see what he can do. Uh, you know, defense wins championships. Nick Saban has always had a very, very strong defense and a physical team in the trenches. So I think as long as they're physical in the trenches again, then they will definitely be okay.
Yeah, this quarterback will definitely be different than the previous two Alabama's had. But I mean, with that Citrus Bowl win last year, I guess that put him in the driver's seat.
Yeah, it did. It did. And he really played well without a lot of experience. So I'm really looking forward to see how that plays out and how he transitions into the year. And college football is back. I was one of the persons who said I didn't think we would have it. Obviously, some of the conference and schools have opened up over the last 4 weeks, but now coming with the Big 10 and the Pac-12 officially announcing they're going to be starting here in the next 30 to 45 days also. So without any setbacks, we should have a substantial college season and a fulfilling one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll just see how everything turns out, and we'll be looking forward to December 19th to those bowl games, see what comes up.
Absolutely. Okay.
Moving on with today's topics. Let's hit on Floyd Mayweather.
Money. Floyd, money Mayweather. You've got to say the money.
Is that right?
Our pretty boy Floyd. Pretty boy Floyd.
The old name. Pretty boy Floyd. What can you tell me about this pretty boy Floyd with the?
Well, Mr. TBE, the best ever, Floyd Mayweather. He's going to be fighting. He's going to be fighting in an exhibition fight. The rounds haven't been announced yet, but he's going to be fighting YouTube star, reality TV personality, and also amateur boxer Logan Paul.
Whoa, wait. Did you say YouTube star?
Correct.
What are we getting into here? What are we getting into, Boone?
What is Floyd doing? It's an exhibition fight. Floyd is retired. He's proved everything he needed to prove from a competitive professional standpoint. He's retired now. Logan Paul is 25-year-old YouTuber. He has gained a lot of fanfare. I believe he has about 5 billion views total on YouTube and about 22 million subscribers. He has a massive following on TikTok, massive following on Twitter. He really came onto the scene with Vine and then transitioned there into YouTube and Instagram. But he's proven himself to be a very solid amateur boxer. He fights in the cruiserweight division, so he's a sizable guy. He's 6'2". So Floyd is not really used. Yeah, he's not really used to fighting the guys this size. Even the kickboxing guy that he fought about 2 years ago in China, he was. Well, I believe it was China or Tokyo. I'm not sure. Was it in Tokyo or was it in Shanghai? I have to look at that while we were speaking. But that guy was more Floyd size, and so this is going to be his first time fighting a guy that has a real big size advantage on him. And of course, it's an exhibition fight, and Logan Paul is an amateur. So expect it to be a little bit of fun. I'm sure it's going to be a little bit of fanfare. This is not Logan Paul's first boxing match. It's not at all. So there was talks of him having quite a few other boxing matches with some of the other pros, but this is the one that's really worked out. There was a boxing match back in 2018 against KSI. It was called the White Collar Amateur Boxing Match.
Oh, wow.
So their words, not mine. It was a very entertaining fight. I've seen some of the highlights from the fight. They also had a rematch that actually took place at the Staples Center. Now, the numbers for these fights were insane. The pay-per-view numbers rival something of professional boxers. And that's why it makes sense. If it makes money, it makes sense when you're dealing with Floyd. And they're going to have probably 500,000 to 1 million buys, so the number is going to be pretty amazing. For the first KSI Logan Paul fight, revenue was around 200 million.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
His previous fight, the guy he fought, 41-year-old Japanese Tanishin Nasuaka, made $9 million on that previous fight. I'm pretty sure he never made anywhere near that in his whole career.
You have to look at that. That's more than majority of the professional boxers make in a fight. 9 million.
Correct. Yeah, that's a lot of money, especially for a random individual who probably never made anything near that. This is back in December 31st, 2018. So,
correct. So I'm looking now. So it did 800,000 live purchases. That's 800,000 purchases. I mean, if you look at, I think one of the most successful fights ever is the Conor and the De La Hoya fights with Floyd, and they did about 2 million views, purchases. But when you start doing 1 million, 1.3 million, 1.5 million purchases, those are insane numbers. So they might have found a niche here. It's entertaining.
Correct. It definitely is. And even though people always say, it's only an exhibition, people still tune in to watch it.
Apparently so.
People still tune in.
Apparently so. So that was pretty impressive. Now, one thing about these purchases, the revenue from the purchase was a little bit less because the purchase price was not 50, 60, 70, $80 to buy the fight. So that
Mm.
makes a big difference too. The number, there's kind of a slant on the number, so you really have to look at the details. So it's about $10 a view. That's a lot different than $50, $60 a view. People are more inclined to pay $10 versus $60 or $70 or $80 for HD pay-per-view
Correct.
purchases.
Of course.
Correct. But
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. There's a slew of exhibition fights. Of course, we have the Roy Jones and Mike Tyson fight that has been postponed and rescheduled. But
I think he's scared.
they
He's
tell us
scared.
that it's still happening. Never, not Roy. You must have
Roy Jones
forgot.
is a little scared, man. He's a
You
little
must,
scared.
as in Roy Jones said, y'all must have forgot.
He think he needs a little more time to think about it because the way Mike Tyson is training right now, that guy looks like an animal. Don't unleash that guy. He gets a hold of you, you ain't gonna see another day. Roy Jones, don't do it.
The
Don't
fight was rescheduled for November 28th at the Dignity Health Sports Park in Carson, California. It's going to be an interesting fight. Roy is one of the greatest pound-for-pound fighters of all time. He's the only fighter to move all the way up and win a heavyweight title. So it's going to be interesting. Of course, Mike has the size, Mike has the strength, and Mike has the YouTube footage. But come November, we will see. And I've been saying this for the last couple of weeks, a month or so since this was announced. My money's on Roy Jones.
Hey, I got to give it to Mike Tyson. That boy's been training, and he's training hard. He's training hard. Every day that goes by, he looks a little more like his younger self. So I got to give him credit for that. I really do. And he looks good too, boy. He looks real good.
And me and you have had many discussions off air about this. My whole thing, Mike is great, but I don't think he is great as people give him credit for. The fights that I feel like if he would have beat Holyfield in his prime, maybe so. But I feel like that if he would have fought Holyfield prior to his incarceration, he would have lost that fight. I do. I feel like he would have lost that fight. When he came back, he spent 2 years away in jail. When he came back, he was lackluster. 2 years is not a ton of time being away from the sport. You've had guys take long absences before. De La Hoya has, Floyd has, Ali has, going on and on. And when Mike came back, he just he looked bad. He looked bad. And we're not going to talk about the Buster Douglas loss. And people can say, well, he didn't train. He was out of shape. He was drinking, partying. No matter what, I mean, he couldn't get off the canvas, man. He just could not get off the canvas against Buster Douglas. I think he was a 42-1 favorite. So if you'd have bet $1 million, you would have won $42 million that night. They probably wouldn't have paid you out.
Definitely would.
You'd have to say, you know what? Don't worry about it. You keep it here.
Yep, that would have been ridiculous.
So I think he was a great fighter. I just don't think he was contested that hard, that heavily.
I agree with you on the time on that period. For example, on a side note, I think if Pacquiao would have fought Money Mayweather in 2008, it definitely would have been a different result from when they fought a few years later. That's my opinion. I know you're a Mayweather fan. I'm a Pacquiao fan, but
all I will say is Pacquiao is one of the greatest fighters of all time. I cannot take that away from him.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Eight division world champ. Let's get that in there.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Pacquiao. Maybe we can get him on the show.
Hey, you know what? What they need to do is get another fight going because boxing knows that was probably one of the highest revenues they've ever done.
The Conor fight was more entertaining. Even the lead of the press conference to the Conor fight, I'd rather see a Conor rematch.
Yeah, if I didn't want to see Mayweather lose, I'd say the same thing. So I guess I'm gonna have to give you that one.
Correct.
Moving on to the Lakers. Man, today was a close one. Let's talk about the previous game, man. They got out-rebounded, man. They couldn't do anything. It looked like they didn't even want to be out there. It was just ridiculous. LeBron looked like he didn't want it. He obviously passes a lot, but he really wasn't driving in the paint. Anthony Davis, he did his normal self, but they're a little lax on that game. I'm just glad they woke up a little bit, and even though today was a close game.
Yeah, 114-108 for all the fans out there listening. Lakers took a 3-1 lead, commanding 3-1 lead against the Denver Nuggets, and I agree. Davis had 34 points. He was 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 34 points. LeBron, 26 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take. Because, excuse me, my sinus has been bothering me as of late. I don't know what it's going to take. If they play like this against the Heat, it's going to be problems.
Yeah, the Heat's been playing their butt off, man. They're doing real well over there. But I got to give it to Rajon Rondo, man. He's been doing real well. Congrats to him, passing the Lakers legend Kobe Bryant for 9th on the all-time playoff assist list. He's definitely doing his thing out there. His IQ is incredible. When you match it with LeBron, it's just unbelievable.
It is. 7 assists tonight, 7 critical assists tonight. Played 22 minutes on the floor. He's really been the glue keeping them together this series. I'd be happy for them just to go ahead and get out of this series. And, of course, as you know, I'm a Laker fan. I've been a long time. And get ready for Miami because Miami is tough.
They're looking real good, especially that 20-year-old rookie they got over there by the name of
Hero. Drop this zero and get with the hero.
Hero. That boy's playing lights out, man. 20 for him to be 20 years old and knowing and playing the sport like the way he is, he looks like a 15-year-old veteran out there playing that sport. I gotta give it.
Really is.
Gotta give it to him, man. But good old Butler really hasn't been doing much, and he's lucky. Hero's been carrying the majority of the wins out there. I mean, yeah, he comes in spurts, in and out, but they've been playing team ball over there, and they look really good. And I hope the Lakers get it together if they come across them.
Really, really do. I think it will be an interesting matchup. I think the Lakers have to start seeing a little bit more out of McGee. McGee minutes are limited, but when he's on the floor, he's going to have to do more. He played 5 minutes tonight, 1 rebound. I think his minutes wouldn't be so limited if he was contributing more.
Right.
Kuzma, good performance, as always. 18 minutes, 10 points. I really do think that the difference in closing out this series and moving forward is going to come from Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard had 12 points tonight, 11 rebounds, 1 assist. I think it's going to take another strong performance from Dwight to close out Denver and move on to the Heat. Yeah. Anthony Davis has been consistent. He's going to deliver. He played 41 minutes tonight. He's a true leader. He's told LeBron, hey, get on my back. I'm going to take us to the promised land. Let's go get this ring. He's just dominant.
How about that buzzer beater back on the previous game, man? Boy, that 3 was nice.
Amazing shot. Very good defense by Denver. Just better shot by Anthony Davis.
Wow.
If this is his only year in LA, if he does choose to leave, he has put on a performance in the playoffs. And again, him coming from New Orleans, I was not a huge Anthony Davis fan. I just didn't really see his skill set.
I told you since day one. He had it.
And I must say, he is the real deal, and he is the franchise player. Even though I still believe LeBron is the greatest player in the world, but Anthony Davis is a franchise player, mostly due to his age. And he's a threat. He really is. And with him and LeBron complementing each other, if he does choose to re-sign, I believe that they'll be contenders for the next 2 to 3 years.
I really hope he does. I know he sprained that ankle a little bit today coming down on it. I hope it's not too bad. Hopefully he ices it, gets it back together by the next game.
Correct.
It did look ugly when he landed. It did look pretty ugly. But if this core can stay together, Caruso, my hat's off to Caruso. He's a hell of a player as well, man. That boy coming out of Texas A&M, yeah, he's doing real well.
He is.
Doing real well. Hopefully, LeBron can get a little more aggressive on the paint, man. He's a facilitator. He likes to pass that ball, but coming down towards the end of this stretch, you got to get aggressive because you'll get points once you get in that paint. He knows you'll get points. If it's not by the layup, it'll be by a foul. He just needs to get aggressive. That's just the way I see it, and I hope he does that next game so he can close it out and stop playing with these kids over there. Even though you got to give props to Jamal Murray. That boy's playing really well. Everything he shot today was landing. Everything. Some look like some circus shots, but they're going in. He has some tenacity, boy. That guy stays with it. He stays with it, and he doesn't let go of the gas, and he keeps his team in it because of it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, gentlemen. Well, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Keeping It Real with ER Sports. We sure hope you enjoyed it. If there's something you want to hear, feel free to leave us a comment down below. and we'll be glad to touch the subject. Make sure subscribe if you haven't already. Hit up our YouTube channel or our Facebook page.
Smash that like button.
Yes,
Thumbs up.
Hit that like. Until next time, guys, this is Michelangelo alongside
Boom.
Peace out, y'all.
Keep it real.
Yeah.